Good evening, everyone. So today we are going to continue the fulfilling of PÆRAMީ, part number 8. So during this course, like during this series, we have been discussing the main topics such as what is PÆRAMީ, what is the word formation of PÆRAMީ, what does it mean. Then we also discuss how PÆRAMީ is helpful for the attainment of liberation, what sort of mindset that one should have in order to fulfill PÆRAMީ, especially aiming the threefold Bodhi, Samma Sambuddhahood, Pacceka Buddhahood and Asavaka Buddhahood, and then how what sort of reflections that one should have in order to fulfill, in order to successfully fulfill PÆRAMީ, and then we moved into explain what is Dana PÆRAMީ. So in the previous lectures, few lectures we discussed how Dana PÆRAMީ should be fulfilled. So we also discussed how Dana PÆRAMީ should be done, what kind of attitude, what kind of mentality that we should possess in order to fulfill a good type of a Dana PÆRAMީ. So today we are going to discuss mainly about some classifications about Dana PÆRAMީ. So Dana PÆRAMީ is sometimes fourfold and sometimes sixfold based on two different aspects. First we'll study how Dana PÆRAMީ, like how Dana is sixfold based on Abhidhamma explanations. So in terms of Abhidhamma explanation, Dana is sixfold as Rupa Dana, Saddha Dana, Gandha Dana, Rasa Dana and Pottabba Dana. Pottabba Dana and Dhamma Dana, based on the 6 types of objects that we offer. So 6 types of objects based on the object, right? Rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabba and Dhamma. So what is Rupa Dana here? Rupa Dana means offering something that is very beautiful, very attractive. That is called Rupa Dana. Yeah. For example, if you offer a very colorful flowers to someone, maybe to a monk or maybe to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, whatever, a colorful robe, a very attractive colored cloth. Sometimes we offer paints to the monastery in order to paint the buildings. So likewise, these types of offerings are called Rupa Dana. Also we can call it Varna Dana, Rupa Dana. When given to lay people, if someone offers some sort of medicine or we call cosmetics, which makes someone's skin more brighter as a gift, for instance, these all includes into Rupa Dana. So Rupa Dana means offering something which has a good color, attractive appearance, or something which is helpful to develop one's attraction. So these are all called Rupa Dana, right? Then Saddha Dana. Saddha Dana is something very not very often given. Saddha Dana means playing beautiful music for the sake of as a sake of respecting the receiver. For example, in countries like Sri Lanka, India, they have rituals like they play music in front of sometimes the gods they respect, in front of the Buddha or the tooth relic, maybe in front of a stupa, to show the gratitude or show the respect towards the venerated object or the venerated person. So this is considered as Saddha Dana. Saddha Dana. Normally it's played with a very soothing or attractive sweet music as respecting the receiver. Yeah. And sometimes there is a custom like they play the gong. Gong means a bell. Especially in Sri Lanka we have this custom. So the people come and strike the bell as a respect towards the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. right? Sometimes you may feel like, what is the actual giving in sadhana? It is like it's something that we offer which is soothing to the ear of the recipient. When the Buddha got enlightened, or when in certain occasions in his life, devas, certain humans, nagas especially, they came and played music in front of him as some sort of a gesture of respect. So he, as an arahant, as a person who has eradicated defilements, would not enjoy the music as we do, or as he didn't enjoy as we do, but it was pleasant to his ears. Now, for example, if we go into a suburb, or if we go near to a highway, the vehicles moving with the sound it creates is not very comfortable to our ears. If you happen to live near a railway, always the regular traveling of the trains is not very soothing to the ear. So in the same, but on the other hand, if you go to a place where is very sweet music is played, regardless of we enjoy or not, it is very soothing to our ears. It can be disturbing when you are meditating, but in the natural sense of five senses, it's very soothing, it's very comfortable. So giving such comfort is one aspect of dana, and that is called saddha dana. So for example, if in a monastery, if the bells are being placed, so the people come and strike the bells and offer the respect to the triple gems. Even placing a bell in a monastery is considered as offering saddha dana, because eventually people would come and strike the bell and offer their respect. Another way of giving saddha dana is very important information, because this is a type of dana that is neglected, not normally followed by devotees these days. If you offer some medicine to a Dhamma preacher, or a one who chants paritta, so their throat would be clearer, or would increase their voice, sweetens their voice, supports their voice. This type of offering, medical support, or giving some substances which facilitates smooth voice or uninterrupted voice, would also suffice or amounts to saddha dana. So saddha dana is not only playing music for the triple gems or the respected person, but also establishing certain objects that can be used as means of saddha dana, and also offering things in order to increase or sweeten the voice of others, especially the monks who preach Dhamma, and for the monks who chant paritta is also type of a saddha dana. Right. Then there is another way of Dhamma dana which is mentioned in books, that if someone chant paritta nicely, or preach Dhamma in order to respect the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, like we say its good qualities, what a Buddha, what is Dhamma, what is Sangha, praise the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and also chant paritta as a gesture of respecting the Buddha Dhamma and Sangha. For example, if you are preaching the teachings of someone, there's also one sort of it's a sort of a way of it's a gesture of showing the respect to the person. So if we do with the intention of respecting the person or the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and preach Dhamma and preach paritta, chant paritta, that also amounts to saddha dana. Sometimes it is also possible, especially now Buddhists, when they pay respect to the Buddha, they utter gathas like Itipiso, Bhagava, Arahang, and so forth. In our books, there are some gathas which are composed by using the gathas indicate, or they convey the good qualities of the triple gem. So if you chant them as a respect, these also amounts to saddha dana. So gathas can be chanted, Dhamma can be taught, and paritta can be chanted as a respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and that also amount to Saddha Dana. Then one can have a question here. When I said the music can be played as a respect as a way of giving dana, one can ask a question: isn't music played with lobha mula chitta? Because normally it's prohibited for monks to play music, and when you observe the 8 precepts, sabbata days, uposatha days, we are not supposed to play music. So how could this amount to a kusala? Because in terms of abhidhamma, in the end, what is offered doesn't matter. The intention is what matters in order to decide whether it's a kusala or a akusala, right? Because we have kusala chittas, akusala chittas, and also kusala chetana and akusala chetana. So normally we know if we play music, if we enjoy music, this is normally done with unwholesome mind. That is lobha mula chitta. It's not a akusala that would take someone to a bad destination by just listening to music and so forth, or playing music, especially as a lay person. But still we know it's played with unwholesome mindset. So how could this be dana? Because dana has to be, in terms of abhidhamma, should be done in the kusala mind. So we have to keep it in mind. There are many stories especially in Apadana Pali, Theravada Pali. The commentaries also explicitly mention about this, that many disciples of the Buddha had played music to past Buddhas, have danced in front of past Buddhas, and showed their respect, gratitude towards the Triple Gem, and enjoy lots of merits, lots of good results of benefit in samsara. So in the Theravada perspective, if we perform these musics and dancing, singing as a gesture of showing respect to venerable personages, venerable recipients like Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, it is considered that activity is a wholesome activity. But the same act, if done for the purpose of enjoyment, for the amusement of someone, then it amounts to a akusala. It amounts to an akusala. And there is another type of akusala dana, which is called samajja dana. If someone entertains others, this is how it has been classified, entertains others with the thought, a wrong thought, that one would accumulate merit by making others happy. One would accumulate merit by making others happy and making others feel fun. Because sometimes some people have such attitudes, have such thoughts. If we can make the others happy, we are doing something good. So that is a wrong thought. Just making someone happy, pleasant, it doesn't mean that you are doing something good for the person. So there are certain happinesses that should be followed, and there are certain happiness that should not be followed. So if someone does play or dance or play music or dance with the thought that I am accumulating merits by making others, giving enjoyment to others, then it's considered as a akusala dana, unwholesome giving. In this context, if we play music, sing or dance as a gesture to pay respect to a venerable person, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, or any other recluse or whatever, it's not confined to Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, that amounts to a dana, and that is considered saddha dana. So then we moved on to the next type of dana, which is called gandha dana, smell, offering smell. That's obvious, anyone can understand this. Offering incense. If you offer scent, perfume. Now, perfume, monks are not supposed to use perfume, but if we apply air freshener to a monk's kuti, or the Buddha's chamber, Buddha's shrine room, or offer incense sticks. These all are considered as offering Gandha Dana. Gandha Dana is giving pleasant smells to the recipient. Right. So, and also offering flowers with good smell is also amounts to Gandha Dana. Now, for example, if you are offering flowers, you can do two types of dana at the same time. Because it's very attractive, you can consider that I am offering Varna Dana. At the same time, you are offering Gandha Dana if it is a pleasant flower which has a pleasant fragrance. So likewise, we may offer two types of dana while we are offering flowers. Then we come into Rasadana. Rasadana is offering tasty food. So thirsty food, we have to be careful whether the food is nutritious, because sometimes the tasty food are not good for health. That's a different case. So we have to be careful about it. So if we are offering some food that contains good sweet taste, which is pleasant to the tongue, we are offering Rasadana. So, for example, when you are giving a dana, giving a lunch to a monk or to the Buddha, if you make it delicious, so our purpose is to offer good taste to the person, and this amounts to Rasadana. Then how about offering nutritious food? Nutritious food, we'll later learn that it will fall into Dhammadana. Dhammadana is not the Dhammadana of preaching Dhamma. The sixfold dana. Sixfold dana is based on the object. Rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabha and Dhamma. Dhammadana of preaching Dhamma is a different thing. Then, so if you are offering food, nutritious aspect falls into Dhammadana, because Oja Rupa is a Dhamma Ramana in terms of Abhidhamma. Oja is a Dhamma Ramana. And if we are focusing on the taste, we are offering Rasadana. So that we should know this categorization as well. So offering food with delicious taste is called Rasadana. Then we have Pottabha Dana. Pottabha Dana is offering things that gives you comfort, physical comfort. For instance, if you offer a good chair to the Buddha or Sangha, so the monks who sit would feel comfortable, or a nice bed, mattress, bed sheets. Sometimes offering robes with good texture, material, cotton or whatever. So these all amounts to Pottabha Dana. For example, another way of thinking is now, for instance, if you install air condition into a monk's room, for example, or air condition in the Buddha's shrine room, our purpose is to give comfort to the body, right? So these all amounts into Pottabha Dana. Even if you give something as a gift to some layperson, such as aircon and all, this also amounts to Pottabha Dana. So Pottabha Dana is offering something that would facilitate the bodily comfort. And then one can ask the questions, sometimes what about the sex workers? Do they offer, they are also offering some sort of comfort to the other receiver, prostitutes and all. So this is not considered as a dana, because it is very directly related to the lust. It arouses and it satisfies the lust of the person. But here we are giving a comfort to the body which is necessary, which is supportive for the being's life. For example, especially in meditation, if you are, for instance, while practicing samatha meditation, more the comfort you get to the body, it's easier the concentration can be developed. That's why even Buddha, the Bodhisattvas sat on 8 grass bundles before his enlightenment. So therefore, giving comfortable items, giving soft, or however you interpret this, items that brings physical comfort are called Pottabba Dana. So then another way to think about this, now the same object sometimes can be comfortable to the body. In some occasions it can bring pain. For instance, think about air condition. During the hot season it gives you comfort, but if you on the air condition during the cold period or winter, that would torment your body, right? So in this case, the intention what matters. If we are offering some type of a thing that could give comfort to the body as a purpose of giving the comfort, then it amounts to Pottabba Dana. Another very important Pottabba Dana that can be done is, for instance, water heaters, or especially in Western countries, offering heaters into the rooms, or hot water showers. So these are also related to Pottabba Dana because it's related to the physical comfort. So anything that is offered, chairs, beds, in today's context, air conditions, hot waters, all these are classified under Pottabba Dana. The purpose is, they give comfort to the body of the recipient. Right. Now we'll take another example. Now, because when I was in Indonesia, it's a very common custom sometimes. You spread flowers on the surface where monks are walking. When you're taking them to a certain ceremony, we spread flowers on the earth, on the carpet. Now think how many types of danas can be found here. Now one is it's colorful, and you are offering color to the monks, sangha. It's a rupa dana. And if that flower has a fragrance, good fragrance, then it amounts to gandha dana as well. And then the petals are very soft, and it gives comfort to the feet when you walk on such flowers. And if the purpose is to also to bring comfort to the monks' feet, that also amounts to Pottabba Dana. So with the same flower, we are capable of offering three types of dana: rupa, gandha, and Pottabba. So therefore, this knowledge of understanding how the dana is classified is useful, that we can accumulate great merit with our understanding and consideration. Then any other offering that doesn't fall into this sixth category, yes, rupa dana, colorful objects, or that helps to have a colorful skin, or to have a pleasant appearance, or which beautifies you, offering sound, or facilitating sweet voice, or supporting offering medicines that would facilitate sweet voice, playing music as a gesture of showing respect, offering fragrance, and offering tasty food, and then offering objects that would bring comfort to the body. These are the 5 types of dana. Any dana that doesn't fall into this category are called Dhamma dana. Right? Any object other than the first 5 are called Dhamma Ramana, right? Rupa Ramana, Saddha Ramana, Gandha Ramana, Rasa Ramana, Pottabba Ramana, and Dhamma Ramana. All the objects that doesn't fall into the 5-fold objects are called Dhamma Ramana. So in the same way, dana which are not classified under the first 5 categories are called Dhamma dana. And this should not be mixed or mingled with Dhamma dana of preaching or teaching the Buddha's words. If you remember, we classified dana into 3 groups: Amisa dana, Abheya dana, and Dhamma dana. Amisa dana is offering requisites. Abheya dana is saving others' lives, or releasing others from dangers, or preventing the dangers that can befall others. Then Dhamma dana is teaching righteous doctrines, or the Buddha's teachings, or giving guidances, instructions to meditation and all. So this Dhamma dana and the Dhamma dana of the dana classified based on objects are 2 things. So today what we are talking, danas that are not under the first 5 classification categories are called Dhamma Dana. So we'll now learn what are they. Right. So then this Dhamma Dana of the object, based on the object classification, is again threefold. Oja Dana, Pana Dana and Jivita Dana. Right. We'll first learn them separately. Oja Dana, Pana Dana and Jivita Dana. Oja Dana is offering nutritious food, which I discussed in the Rasadana. Rasadana, in the explanation of Rasadana, I said food can be offered at 2 separate danas, the same food. If you are focusing on the deliciousness of the food, the taste of the food, it amounts to Rasadana. If you are focusing on the nutritious part of the food, it amounts to Ojadana. If you can offer something which is nutritious at the same time delicious, then we can make 2 danas at the same time. So if you are focused on offering something nutritious to the person to make him healthier, so this type of offering is called Ojadana under the Dhammadana of the 6-fold classification. Then we have Panadana. Panadana is offering drinks for the purpose of quenching the thirst. If you offer drinks to quench the thirst, this is considered Panadana. Right? For example, if you offer water, tea, coffee, whatever, in order to really quench the thirst of the person, this is considered Panadana. Now, the same Pana, if you are offering something which is nutritious, this amounts to Ojadana. Right? Ojadana. And if you make it very delicious, this amounts into Rasadana. So now you can see this same object, if you are offering some kind of, especially because if you are offering food, delicious and nutritious food, it amounts into 2 danas, Rasadana and Ojadana. But if you are offering a drink, delicious, nutritious, at the same time that would quench the thirst, you are offering Rasadana, Ojadana and Panadana. Right? And then the next explanation you will find it can, sometimes we can offer things for the purpose of Jivita Dana as well. So before that we will explain Panadana first here. Then comes Jivita Dana. If you are offering food or drinks as a purpose of supporting the life of a person, this amounts to Jivita Dana. So now think, the food, if it is offered for the purpose of nutrition, then it's Ojadana. If food is offered for the purpose of deliciousness, is Rasadana. If the beverages are given to quench the thirst, this amounts to Panadana. And whatever food or beverage is given or drinks are given as an assistant to sustain the life of a person, this amounts to Jivita Dana. Right. So then another type of Jivita Dana is releasing the living beings who are bound or who are captured, sometimes imprisoned, who are in captivity. Right? If you release them, it's a Jivita Dana. If you release beings, it's now Abhedana, it's also very similar to Abhedana. If you release the dangers and give them life, make them helps them to get rid of death. And sometimes offering medicine to the sick, introducing someone to a doctor, or help someone to meet a doctor. So these all amounts to Jivita Dana. So Jivita Dana is whether you are offering something for the sustenance of life, or whether you are offering some sort of medicines to get rid of certain sicknesses, or directly releasing others from death so one can live peacefully, happily. They all amounts to Jivita Dana. Right. So all these are Panadana, Ojadana, Jivita Dana falls on the category of Dhammadana. Then this Dhammadana is not the teaching of Dhamma, it's a categorization, it's a Dana category found under the classification based on the nature of the object. Yeah. Then we come into another classification of Dana based on Vinaya Dana classification. Dana classification based on Vina. So this is mainly aiming towards of offering things to the monks and nuns, right? Monks and nuns, especially Bhikku, Bhikkhuni, Samanera, Samaneri, and Sikkamanas. So, so it is fourfold in terms of the object that is being offered. Also Sikkamana, Bhikku, Bhikkhuni, Sikkamana. Right. So it's fourfold: Chivara, Pindapata, Senasana, and Gilanapacha. These are the four requisites that are required for a monk to sustain their life, for monks to sustain his life. So offering clothes such as robes, Sanghati, Uttara, Sangha, and so forth, and any other cloth which is allowable to be used is called Chivaradana. So offering clothes allowable for monks, nuns, are called Chivaradana. Right. So, and also if you are offering certain sheets to the beds, so the monks could use them, but it can also be applied in Senasana Dana based on the purpose. If you are offering a bed sheet for a monk as a pachat, we call it pachattarana, which can be applied on this on the Senasana, on the bed, but it becomes a robe of the monk. So there are two types of pachattarana that can be used as a requisite of the monastery, or something that can be used as a personal thing. So if you are offering something to the monk as a cloth that is useful for the monk's usage, this amounts into Chivara Dana. Since Chivara is very vital, because monks and nuns, in these days we talk about Sealis, so we all depend on very minimum amount of clothes. And normally monk's cloth is a robe, and this robe is a rectangle piece of cloth. Right, almost all the robes are just pieces of clothes. And only for bhikkhunis there is a special cloth to cover their upper body, which is like a shirt. Other than that, the monks, recluses, clothes are normally just rectangular clothes, right? So in these days, today's Sealis also have one kind of a shirt, but otherwise other clothes are rectangles. So just the pieces of clothes that we use to cover our body. And this is very useful, very, very useful in order to lead our lives. In those days, Buddha's time, it was very hard to find such clothes. It was very hard. It was not found in abundance like today. But today the context is different. Clothes are a lot, and sometimes the monasteries have excessive amount of robes, and we don't know what to do with that sometimes. So those days the robes were very rare, and also it distinguished us from the disciples of the Nigantas, some Achelakas, because some recluses used to live naked, but the Buddha never appreciated or encouraged for naked asceticism. Their purpose was to get rid of attachment towards the clothes, because clothes are very attractive to the person's mind. That's why think about a lay person. We have lots of clothes suitable for the parties, clothes suitable for the weddings, clothes suitable for the monastery, for a casual clothes for the house, to wear while in the house, maybe to the school, the universities. So clothes, there are lots of clothes in a normal lay person's life. So when you become a monk or a nun, we abandon these clothes. It's one of the great abandonings that we do, giving up clothes. Because clothes makes a person beautiful. That's why we are very much careful about selecting the costume, or selecting the cloth that we are wearing to a certain party and so forth, because it gives a different, if you are wearing a bad cloth, it completely gives a different feeling or appearance to the other person. But when it comes to monks and nuns, we have to depend on very minimal amount of clothes, and those clothes are not fancy. And monks give up this attachment. And also those days, clothes were not very common among the people. So manufacturing clothes did not happen under mass production as it is done today. So clothes were very vital, and Buddha has prioritized in terms of all the 4 requisites. The first requisite which is mentioned is clothes, robes, chivara. And when you study Vinaya, you find the rules regarding robes are strict than rules related to any other requisite. So robes are the most strictly we call it strictly the restrictions are very high regarding the robes. So offering chivara is a very great merit, especially to the monks and nuns. So then we comes to pindapata, the second type of requisite, which is very vital to sustain the life of a person. So offering food to monks and nuns is called offering pindapata. And also we need to be careful when food is offered, that should be given during the proper time. As recluses, anyone who gives up household life, that is called recluse. It includes tapasas, for example, the recluses of other religions, especially bodhisattvas. They abandon the household life based on become tapasas. Sometimes even he has abandoned household life and practiced wrong doctrines. For example, before the Buddha, Vipassi appeared in the world. Bodhisattva became an ascetic and was following a wrong doctrine for 90,000 years, as the book says. And in the end, last moment, he was able to give up that wrong doctrine and was able to be born in the Sugati realm because of his capacity to not to regret and decide what is correct and wrong. So normally, any person who gives up household life is an ascetic. Tapasas are there who are following a doctrine of karma, and then some are following wrong doctrines, like Nigantas are also Pabbajita. They are called Samana. They are also recluses. They are not lay people. Sometimes we have a group called Achelaka, Paribhajaka. They all fall under the category of the ones who have given up the household life. The monks are just another sect of them. Another sect. So these days we also have Seales, who are not Bhikkhunis or Samaneras, but they also belong to the category of Pabbajita. The actual status of Pabbajitahood is giving up the household life and the bondages. The one is not bound to any person. That is called Pabbajita life. So in the Pabbajita life, in the monk's recluse's life, food was something that was not easy to be obtained, and normally the recluses restrain themselves from eating after noon. That's a normal common practice that was among the recluses. So just dedicate their morning session for the food, because otherwise without food it's not possible to sustain your life. In the entire evening session, afternoon till the next morning, they especially dedicate themselves for the spiritual growth or spiritual practice. Spiritual growth or spiritual practice. So spiritual growth or spiritual practice doesn't mean that they are supposed to meditate all the time or study. Spiritual life is a huge thing. Like many activities are involved. For example, building the monasteries, running the monasteries, taking care of each other. So it's an entire life. It's a complete life. But we are supposed to dedicate our evening, afternoon till the next morning, mainly for our spiritual practice, and also to support the other brethren, the other recluses. We have two purposes. We develop our own few main aims in our lives. So we have developed our own spiritual qualities, support the other brethren. Brethren means the ones with whom we practice our do our practice, and also to preach the Dhamma to the lay people who are supporting us. So these are the mainly three aspects that a recluse should follow. So we dedicate our evening mainly for that purpose. In the morning, as human beings, since we need to find nutritious nutriment to sustain our life, we need to go for Pindapata or find foods somehow in a righteous way. So offering this food was a great assistance for their spiritual growth. So offering food for recluses is considered offering Pindapata, and that should be offered during the proper time. If food is being offered in the after the noon, it still amounts to dana. Because, for example, before the Buddha laid down the rule of Vikala Bhojana, monks used to go Pindapata at night even. When there was no such a rule of Vikala Bhojana, monks ate after noon. That was not an issue, but they were supposed to know their limitations and so forth. Even they had dinner those days, because it's clearly mentioned in the Majjhima Nikaya. Venerable Maggavihari Thera, not the normal one, Maggavihari Thera was really upset when the Buddha was promulgating the rule of Vikala Bhojana, and Venerable Bhaddali even didn't follow it. He said he straightly opposed that. I'm not going to stop my dinner because you are going to promulgate a training rule, because I cannot sustain with one meal. So it's important. So it's important that you offer the food during the proper time, during the daytime. Monks are allowed to have food, but for example, if you offer meals after noon even, that amounts to dana, but after the rule is being promulgated in the Buddha's teachings, it won't be a very great one, because you are in the end they would break the rule by eating it, or if someone is following in here, that food is of no use for the recluse. So therefore, Pindapata dana is mentioned, offering food during the proper time for the monks. So then we shall do it. If you can translate my last part, if anyone can translate, then we can I'll give you one short translation and we can finish the session and then go for the Q&A, right? Is it good? What do you think? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Then I think some of would have understood. It's about Pindapata. So I'll just give you a brief explanation. You can translate. So Pindapata dana is offering food during the proper time in which monk can have their food. Yeah. If you can translate, I'll give you another one short part and then you can go for the Q&A. So then it's the talk is finished then. Offering food, Pindapata is offering food, edible food during the allowed period for morning session for monks and nuns. Right. Then offering senasana is offering, for example, kutis, contributing to the kutis, chairs, beds, whatever equipment used for living is called offering senasana. Yeah. Then offering besajja, gilana pachaya besajja, the fourth Vinaya dana, is offering medicine, like such as honey or whatever medical substance that is useful to get rid of sickness is called offering besajja parikkara. So word used for that is gilana pachaya normally, gilana pachaya. So these are the four types of dana in terms of Vinaya. So today we discussed sixfold dana based on Abhidhamma classification, specially based on objects, sixfold objects. Then fourfold dana based on Vinaya. Yeah. So Abhidhamma explanation, sixfold dana is Rupa dana, Saddha dana, Gandha dana, Rasa dana, Pottabba dana and Dhamma dana. Dhammadana should not be mixed with the Dhammadana of teaching, right? Then Vinaya is, okay, that is Abhidhamma, 6, okay. Okay, Rupa Dana, Rupa. Saddha. Okay, come on. Rupa, Saddha. Okay. Rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabha, and Dhamma. Six objects, no? Then the fourfold dana is Chivara, Pindapata, Senasana, Gilana, Pacha, Besaja. So that's the lecture today. So I hope you had the understanding about the sixfold danas, and that you will be able to give dana more wisely with understanding in future, in fulfilling the dana parami.
Okay, maybe I'm the first questioner.
Okay, you can ask the question. Yeah.
So just now what they say about the food that delicious and also healthy. So that also dana, tangible also dana. How if the food is healthy, but for the bhikkhu, for him it's not healthy for him, but for me I know this is healthy for him. So there is a subjection. And also the drink, this is healthy, but for the bhikkhu I don't like this drink, I don't think this is delicious for me. So that can also be the good dana, but
yeah, so in here we need to understand the deliciousness and the nutritious food and delicious food. So and also it's very subjective. Some food which are nutritious for us can be not healthy to the other person, depending on, for instance, some food are good for my body, while it may react differently to another person. That's subjective in terms of the body, and also the taste. For instance, if you come from a different country, maybe the food that is delicious to you may be not delicious for a person who comes from a different country. We experience it here because when you have foreign monks, right? We see this, right? The Sri Lankan monks enjoy certain food, but it is very hard for the foreign monks. When we visit Myanmar, the same thing was happened in the reverse order. It was difficult for us, but it was very tasty for them. So taste is very subjective because it is related to the mind. But the nutritious nature is subject to the body, whether we like it or not. Sometimes there can be some nutritious food which is not tasty. So in the end, think about the food, whatever the food we offer, as long as it's not a poison, it's not going to kill the person. So it's a dana, right? It's a dana. And sometimes accidentally we may offer something, a food that can be poisonous to someone and we are not aware of that. Possible, right? But still, as long as the intention is to offer something and that is edible, if you know that it's edible, and we have no idea that it would become an allergy, it would cause an allergy in him, still it's a dana. So what matters in the end, when we are counting about the merit, our intention, the kusala chetana, is what matters. So as long as we know it is edible and it is not a poison, yes, then it's a dana. But our consideration about the taste, about the nutritious nutriment, is something additional. So if you are very thoughtful, sometimes we may offer nutritious food with less taste, and sometimes occasionally even doctors would say, yeah, occasionally if you had some things which are tasty, which are not very healthy, that is not going to cause a huge problem into your body, right? So that kind of, some people are very strict on this. Even some nutritions are okay just time to time. Even if you had some sort of a processed food, occasionally that won't harm the person. And also it's very subjective to the body of the person. Some people's bodies can tolerate certain food, and for some it's not. It's very subjective. It's very difficult to generalize this rule, and these food are not healthy and these food are healthy, right? It's like to label ultimately, it's not possible. So therefore, if we have a consideration about the nutritious nutriment and also the deliciousness, then it amounts to rasadana and ojadana. But even you are not aware of it, you don't focus on it, just we are offering food, then it becomes amisadana. And because when you are offering food, is not, another point is, it's not possible to avoid the taste factor. It's not possible to avoid the nutritious factor, nutriment factor. Because, for instance, if you are going to offer something to someone, we choose some food. And if you analyze, why did I choose this food? Right? Why did I choose this food? Because I know it's good for the humans, and instead of going to this food, I went to this food because it's tasty, or it's delicious, or maybe it's nutritious. So even though we don't consider deeply, when we are offering food, or when we are especially offering food to monks, automatically this rasa, aspect of rasa, taste, and aspect of oja, the nutriment, automatically comes into our mind. Right? Automatically comes into our mind. So therefore, it's subjective. We will not be able to satisfy the person fully. But as long as we have a good intention of offering something good and something tasty, or something which is edible for sustaining the life, yes, then it's a dana. Now, for example, if you think, while the Mahabodhisattva is offering flesh to other beings, right? He's offering just raw flesh, meat. Sometimes the blood. There's no taste in it, right? There's no, I don't know what the nutritious called nutriment. Yeah, maybe it's because of meat. It's very nutritious, but he's just offering him to them to sustain the life and also to him to accumulate merits, right? So in such dana, sometimes when you're offering food for the sustaining of life, we don't much focus on the taste or the nutriment. So it's a complicated thing. So it's very difficult to exactly say how it works. So we have to be practical and understand based on the context.
One thing, how about dana slipper or sandals and also stick? It's also sena sana, because we use daily and for our life.
These are called yana dana. Yana. We don't. The fourfold dana may not include everything. It may not encompass everything. But if you're offering slippers, sticks, walking sticks, and what else? So these two mainly are offering a vehicle, maybe vehicle. So these are called yana dana. Yana is a vehicle that by which you travel. For instance, think about slippers. When you have slippers, you can walk on places that you cannot walk barefoot, right? If you have good shoes, good slippers, you'll be able to walk on a hard surface even. You won't feel it. So slippers are considered as yana. Yana is a vehicle normally, something that is helpful for you to travel. So katra danda is a walking stick that's helpful to climb mountains and also when we get old. Wheelchairs sometimes, right? All these are called yana dana. A special benefit has been mentioned by Buddha in sutra if you offer yana, because those days we didn't have vehicles like cars and all, and it was prohibited for monks to travel on vehicles dragged by living beings. We cannot travel on a vehicle dragged by horse, cow, camel, elephant, or even dragged by a human, rickshaws. Right? We cannot travel on them. It's prohibited by Vinaya. It's okay to travel for a sick monk, but in that case, Buddha has said not to travel on a cart or a rickshaw that is dragged by a female, in order to make the distance from the females. Right? So even a female ox, a cow, if the cow is dragged in the cart, we cannot sit on it and travel on it. But this allowance is given to sick monks. If you are not sick, you cannot travel on such vehicles. But while sick, we have to consider who is dragging it. If a woman is dragging the rickshaw, no, we are not supposed to sit on it. So they were not, but we can travel on ship. We can travel on boats. So this is the allowance. Since it is allowed to travel on ship, which moves with the wind power, the Mahatheras of our eras have decided it's okay to travel on vehicle, because vehicle is not dragged by anything, it's traveling by its own engine. Like a ship is moving based on the wind, helping to the wind. So no person is being involved in making a ship to travel. So vehicles of today are considered ships that travel on land. That is how the allowance was taken, right? So in terms of Vinaya, it's not possible to travel on a vehicle. Those days the vehicles were dragged by animals or humans. So the prohibition is still valid. Then what about when during the mechanical revolution, when the engine was invented, we started to have vehicles that are moving or run by engines. So then the Mahatheras, when this came into the context, train, the steam engine, cars, these vehicles came into the context, right? So then they applied, yes, since there's no creature who is dragging this thing, and since it is allowed to travel on ship, they made it like these are vehicles similar to ships, but normal ship travels on water, and these ships travel on the ground, right? Ground ships. So that's how we are traveling in a car or a jeep or a bus or something. So these are called yana. So those days they were the yana dragged by animals, and the other type, so it was prohibited for monks. So only vehicle that we could travel was on slippers. If you sometimes even today, when they categorize the poverty or the distribution of wealth in the globe, in the earth, one way of deciding person's wealth is based on what type of vehicle they are using. There are some people who could afford a jet for themselves, like billionaires. They have their own plane, own jets. Some would have a cruise ship, right? Like some could have yachts and all these. They're the billionaires could afford such things. Then normally, it falls down and comes to a good vehicle, a luxurious vehicle, then an ordinary vehicle. Then how much of people in the world can afford such a vehicle and so forth. So they are studying about the distribution of wealth. Then it comes to a bicycle. Some person may not be able to afford a four-wheel vehicle, but just a bicycle. Then finally the categorization comes. Even in modern days, how many people could afford slippers? Because if you think about people in tribes in Africa, in India, maybe in Indonesia also, because it is a very big country with a huge population, fourth population in the world, right? So there are people who cannot afford to buy slippers for themselves, or maybe their area doesn't have that custom. I think about the tribes who are living in the forest. They don't wear slippers, right? They just walk barefoot. And some people who are oppressed by poverty, believe it or not, there are some people who cannot afford for slippers because they don't have money for that. Because when the slippers are torn, we have to buy another slipper, right? You need some sort of economic stability to buy slippers in their context. Maybe nothing for the ordinary people in the cities. So even today, slippers are under the context of vehicles. Because I watched a TED talk once, when they were talking about the distribution of wealth, they brought what type of vehicle someone is using, and in the end, the last vehicle they were talking was slippers. And in the Buddha's teachings, yes, for monks, those days, since there were no motor cars and the other vehicles were prohibited, the only vehicle, the yana we had was slippers. And Buddha gave a discourse saying that if someone offers yana means slippers. If someone offers slippers, especially he offers comfort, sukha. Yana do sukha do hoti. One who offers vehicles, one who offers slippers in those contexts, offering happiness or comfort. Why is that? Yana is something that is used for traveling. Yati ete nati yanang. That is the definition. You travel with that. Yana. Yati is to go. Yana is something that is used to go comfortably, quickly. Now think about a Mercedes. You'll be able to sit on it and very comfortably travel the distance. Unlike traveling in another car. When you get out from Mercedes, you feel, it was nice. It was a good travel. You didn't feel much tired when you travel in a luxurious vehicle. For example, when you travel in the plane, it's very fast and it could travel in the sky. So the same distance, you've come from Sri Lanka to Indonesia, for example. If I have to travel in another means, it would take a lot of time and consume a lot of time and a lot of energy in me. But I could travel in few hours with a plane. So vehicles give comfort in traveling. Vehicles give comfort in traveling. Traveling is something that is very exhausting. Those days especially, if someone is supposed to go to the city from the village, it's something that we have to consider. We just cannot go and come because it takes a lot of time. Maybe a few days that you have to travel to go to the city and come back. If you're walking, right? Even inside Jakarta, if you are just traveling into suburbs very easily, but if there are no vehicles, we will not be counting days, counting hours. We'll be planning our days, right? Sunday I'll go to the downtown and Monday I'll come back. That's how we would be planning if there was no vehicles. So vehicles gives comfort. Traveling is something very exhaustive, and vehicles gives the comfort and reduces the exhaustion. So the same thing happens with slippers. With slippers, we are very fast than barefoot. And our feet are not hurt when we use slippers. So therefore, if someone offers slippers, he is offering comfort. And in samsara, he would specially get sukha, happiness in samsara. Especially, another way to think about this is, yana, slippers, helps you to reach a certain destination with comfort. And in the spiritual practice, our yana is our mind that helps us to attain nibbana. Nibbana is a destination. Consider it as a destination, not a physical destination. A place, a destination where we attain through our practice. So our yana is the mind, chitta. Destination is nibbana. So slipper is the yana. Destination is the place where we're going to go. Or the car is the yana. The place is where we would go. So because of the help of yana, we'll be able to reach there very comfortably. Same way. So as a result, if you offer yana, slippers or vehicles, when you are traveling, the journey towards nibbana would be comfortable. Sukha patipada. It won't be a very exhaustive, troubling journey. So offering slippers, offering vehicles would make you to have a smooth journey towards the liberation. It was a long answer anyway. Adhyasha has to take the burden.
The question has finished. I really thankful to hear your explanation. May one day be well and happy and attain nibbana soon.
Sadhu. Okay, by listening to this Dhamma about PāRAMī, the merit that we accumulate can be shared with our dead relatives, the deities, and also may this merit be a helpful cause for our attainment of nibbana. Idamme punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Idamme punyang nibbanasa paccayo hotu. එතාවතා ච අම්හිහි සම්භතං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ දේවානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බේ සත්තානුමෝ භූතානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බේ සත්තානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා ඉදම්මේ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදං වෝ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදං වෝ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ මම පුඤ්ඤ භාගං සබ්බ සත්තානං භාජේමි තේ සබ්බේ මේ සමං පුඤ්ඤ භාගං ලබන්තු සාධු 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 බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරන් තිට්ඨතු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරන් තිට්ඨතු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරන් තිට්ඨතු සාධු සාධු සාධු